I'm on limited time, so I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. If anybody has questions, feel free to reach out afterwards, and I'm happy to talk. So my name is Andrew Howard. I am Chief Business Development Officer at a Bitcoin brokerage called Bitcoin Reserve. Okay, so today I'm going to be going through 5 reasons why Bitcoin is superior to other cryptos. So I'll just go down the list. Bitcoin is the most decentralized. Bitcoin is immutable, therefore the most secure. Bitcoin has no leading figurehead. Bitcoin's scarcity cannot be replicated. And for the 5th, Bitcoin has the most dominant network effect. So let's talk about nodes. What are nodes? Tens of thousands of computers spread all across the world enforce the rules of Bitcoin's monetary policy. And those computers are known as nodes. Okay, so the purpose of a node is to verify transactions, audit Bitcoin's total supply, keep a record of transactions that have taken place on the blockchain, and ensure that no coins are double spent and nothing nefarious is happening in the network. So nodes are crucial to security of any crypto, including Bitcoin. Okay, so this is from a chart. These are the publicly viewable nodes. Estimates range up to 100,000, but this is the bare minimum that Bitcoin has. So according to bitnodes.io, this is 15,000, well over 15,000. So, in order to kill Bitcoin, you would literally have to go around the world to all of these different nodes and destroy them. So clearly you see that it is quite stable in terms of decentralization. We'll take Ethereum, for example. I'll be bringing this up a little bit since it's the second competitor, you could say. So 70% of Ethereum nodes are hosted on centralized services such as AWS, basically on somebody else's computer in a centralized way. So that is not decentralized. Here's a quick visual about Bitcoin's monetary policy. So we don't have enough time to really examine it, but clearly you can see, you'll see a difference here with the next slide. So just a quick Satoshi quote. He says, "The nature of Bitcoin is such that once version 0.1 was released, the core design was set in stone for the rest of its lifetime." This is Ethereum's monetary policy. I'll leave it there for a few seconds. Clearly, there is a very big difference. It doesn't take a genius to see that. In a world where central bankers can constantly change the money supply every quarter, Bitcoin's monetary policy is set for the next millennia. So that adds stability. As a result of Bitcoin's immutability, it is known to move slowly in terms of, quote, innovation. However, when you look at other projects that are DeFi, Ethereum, Solana, etc., there are countless hacks worth a lot of money, which you may have seen in the headlines already. And we just had one 2 days ago, actually, worth 182 million again. So surprise. Next point, Bitcoin has no leading figurehead. This is very interesting. So Satoshi Nakamoto is the anonymous creator of Bitcoin, but still to this day, nobody knows who Satoshi is or was. And while the creator of Bitcoin is a mystery, Bitcoin itself has no mysteries because it's an open and transparent monetary network that can be audited, carefully looked at anytime. So as a result, Bitcoin is literally the most reviewed code out of all software that has ever existed. All right, here's the meat and potatoes, network effects. This is crucial when it comes to technology or social networks, but particularly money. So what is a network effect? A network effect is a phenomenon whereby a product or service gains additional value as more people use it. Okay. Now, I'm going to give an example. Probably the most applicable example is TCP/IP. So what is TCP/IP? Stands for Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. The TCP/IP model is the default method of data communication on the internet. So basically, you are watching this presentation. We're all around the world. Here we are. And all of us are using TCP/IP. Okay. And it was invented in the 70s. So, it maybe with Bitcoin, people say it's old, it's outdated, etc. The thing with network effects is you can improve the actual network without having to separate the entire, user base to another network that may be more, quote, technologically advanced. Okay, so you see a similar thing happening with network effects in Bitcoin now that did in TCP/IP. So basically what happened is there were multiple competitors to TCP/IP. So here it says other strong competitors included two corporate networks, IBM's SNA, DEC's DESNet, and then, of course, TCP/IP. An interesting thing to note is that they say TCP/IP, some felt scared off some potential adopters because nobody seemed, quote, in charge, which, if you know anything about Bitcoin, absolutely nobody is in charge whatsoever. So that's an interesting parallel. So how are TCP and Bitcoin related? So the internet is the network of information, and Bitcoin is the network of value. Okay, so both had many competitors, yet both, I'm going to say Bitcoin won because of their network effects. And so in other words, instead of, like I mentioned before, other networks outcompeting them because of advanced features, etc., once you have a strong network effect, it becomes increasingly difficult for people to move away from that. And there's more of an incentive to just improve the current network. Inventor of Gmail has an interesting quote. He says, Bitcoin may be the TCP/IP of money. So if you think about all these applications that we're using literally right now, SMTP, that's for email, HTTPS, domain name services, all of these are built on top of TCP/IP. And they did not originally exist when TCP/IP was first created. We are seeing the same thing right now with Bitcoin. A few years ago, people antagonized Bitcoin and said it was too slow, too expensive to use. Now we have the Lightning Network, which is a layer built on top of Bitcoin that an entire country is using right now, El Salvador, which I've been there. I've used the Lightning Network. It's pretty amazing. So network effects are a naturally occurring fact of life. And to realize Bitcoin's network effect does not mean that you are closed-minded to innovation or you don't want innovation, but instead you're just aware that innovation will be built on the most dominant network. So in monetary terms, if you think about it, like, does it make sense for John to pay Sally in X coin, and then for Sally to convert X coin into Y coin to pay Steve? Then for Steve to pay Patrick, he needs to convert his Y coin to Z coin. It doesn't. So money is the most liquid commodity around. It's something that everybody values. Everybody's willing to hold it and accept it. We could make our own simple coin, right? But that wouldn't be valuable because we don't have an entire network of, an overwhelming amount of users valuing that simple coin. And once you have that, it's very difficult to move away from. So the last point, there can be an infinite number of altcoins created, just like fiat currency. Altcoins are not scarce, at least the number of them, but Bitcoin is. Okay, so if you look at some history on Bitcoin, there's a solid 40 years of research projects, development that have been done in order to create it. A lot of people say Bitcoin is like MySpace, but actually, this has been tried before. Bitcoin is really the first successful decentralized form of money on the internet. So you can see the different examples on the right here with the timelines. Okay, almost getting done here. I know we're getting closely on time. So Bitcoin's scarcity cannot be replicated. So, if you look at the chart here, the amount of cryptocurrencies that exist has gotten massive. Yet Bitcoin's network effect has also gotten massive. So, it's just a matter of how many more cryptocurrencies do we need to be created before we start realizing that Bitcoin is dominant here. And the question is Bitcoin dominant? And I think the proof is right here. So if you look at corporate adoption, you have Mass Mutual. That's a 170-year-old insurance company in the US. They own $100 million worth of Bitcoin. Tesla, MicroStrategy, it's one of the largest business intelligence companies in the world. They own several $billion worth of it. KPMG recently bought Bitcoin. Square, which is Jack Dorsey's company. Jack Dorsey is the co-founder of Twitter. Square owns Bitcoin. A lot of corporate adoption, and there are websites literally just showing tons and tons of companies which choose to own Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation. All right, last points here. We also have many billionaires who are personally invested in Bitcoin. So Paul Tudor Jones says Bitcoin is the first crypto, first mover in a world that's so compressed. It has the historical integrity within digital currencies that it will always have. And again, because of its finite supply, that might be the most precious crypto. Bill Miller, Bitcoin is insurance against financial catastrophe, as we see in Lebanon or in Afghanistan, or many of these other countries where we saw that around the time of the pandemic. Peter Thiel, co-founder of PayPal, which is interesting because PayPal could be seen as a competitor in some ways toward Bitcoin. Bitcoin is always the most honest market in the world, the most efficient market, and it was the cannery in the coal mine. And Jack Dorsey, so co-founder of Twitter and currently CEO of Block, he says, this is very interesting. The world will ultimately have a single currency. The internet will have a single currency. I personally believe that it will be Bitcoin. So final slide here. I'd just like to say Bitcoin is honest money. It's not just about price, and it is the most moral monetary system that we have today. And I've personally seen it help people a lot around the world. So thank you very much for watching, and that's my contact information.